Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have with me Aerith Johan. Welcome. Karian and Cranberry Pudding.
Hello.
How are you doing, guys?
Good. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, I hope everyone is excited because this is the reason I started streaming. So I'm very excited myself.
Just for this.
To have the three of you here with me, that's the reason. It's full spoilers in Final Fantasy VII World, Crisis Core, anything related. Let's say our story with Final Fantasy VII. Like, Aerith, did you play Final Fantasy VII as a child?
I did not. So I think we were talking about this earlier as well, but I think my real value to this podcast is that I'm a big dum-dum about Final Fantasy VII, and I'm just here to give my unfiltered thoughts on being a newbie to the universe. No, so like, I think my history, long story short, played Kingdom Hearts. I love Kingdom Hearts, as you can tell, right? But I never got into Final Fantasy until 13, and so I went from 13 through a couple more before I got to 7, but I only played 7 early this year. Like literally early this year, right before Remake, because I knew I wanted to experience the original 7 before getting into Remake. So I'm so incredibly fresh. Like this year is the year that I played both 7 and 7 Remake.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be really interesting because your point of view is probably very different from the rest of us, because I was super hyped about this game. What about you, Karian?
So my introduction, the first Final Fantasy that I played was Final Fantasy IX, and then after that was Final Fantasy VII. So that was early into my childhood. But I've replayed that game so many times up until my high school days. So it's a little bit fuzzy, but I kind of remember what happens. Hopefully. And I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I finished the first playthrough. I am still in the midst of a second playthrough. And for full disclosure, I don't actually understood what happened for the last 2 chapters. So I will withhold my thoughts on it for now until I actually beat it. And then, yeah.
So, Cranberry, what about you?
I mean, it's a love affair with Final Fantasy. When I was a kid, I think we got an NES when I was about 3 years old. So that I'm a boomer here. So that would have been 1989. And the first game that my dad bought us was Final Fantasy I. And it was like, so that was the first game I ever played. And because of that, I always had to play the second one, the third one, always had to play all those. Didn't really understand as a kid why they jumped from 3 till 7, because over in North America, they called 5, they called 4 2, and the whole thing. But as soon as I saw Final Fantasy VII, I saw this world and this idea become reimagined in a 3D format. I don't know if you remember this, but back then that was how could the graphics get any better? How could it get better, Well, it could clearly get better. But anyway, that game, I spent so much time with that game just wanting to explore the world, reading the little neon signs in the towns, just being obsessed and wanting to be there. And that's what's so freaking cool about the remake is we actually get to go there.
Yes, I think I'm pretty much on the same page as Cranberry. I didn't play my first Final Fantasy was 7. I didn't play the Final Fantasy from 3, but I was playing Mega Drive, so I think Final Fantasy 7 was one of the first games I played in PlayStation. And for me, games were something that you started and finished in the same day. Yeah, you will die and go back and try many times, and then eventually you will finish in a go. And then Final Fantasy was this place where I would be 3 CDs for one game, and I was playing and playing. I was like, I can't believe the first CD is still going. I thought the first CD was going to finish at the end of Midgar, and then it's just the beginning of the CD. So yeah, it was mind-blowing for me. And then obviously I was waiting for the remake for years, so I was very happy to play it.
Before you go on, do you remember where you were? Do you remember where you were when you heard that they were finally gonna do it?
Well, actually, I didn't. I was at home, and I learned about that like months after they announced it, like because it was this period of my life that where I was not playing many games, and then I was just, oh my god, it's happening, and then I posted everywhere, and my friends were like, dude, you are so late. This is like months ago news.
You're talking about like the PSX or E3 reveal, right?
The E3 reveal, yeah.
Yeah.
2015, right?
Yep. And I bought
before they
I bought
rebooted,
a PS4
right?
for it because I was like, it's coming out in 2017. It's 20 years, right? I bought the PS4 and then I waited till now. That was I seriously, no joke, I cried. Like, not weep, but I like tears came down my eyes when I saw that reveal coming out. It was like, the gods have granted me something.
I think I cried or about to cry many times during the game.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like as somebody who hasn't grown up with the nostalgia of that, like Final Fantasy VII's everywhere. It's crazy if you don't know Final Fantasy VII, right? Mm-hmm. So even when I was watching the reveal trailer, it was like, oh, like I know this is a Square section because I think it was like when Square was presenting their stuff. And then when things start to make sense, you could hear the crowd like kind of react. I think the video that I was watching, I was like, oh, everybody's getting hyped. Like, is this 7? Like, is this the entity that I've heard so much about? And then when it was revealed, I was like, wow, I can't believe they're actually doing it. But even as somebody who like never played those games, right?
Yep.
As you could feel the gravitas to that reveal as like a whole gamer culture. Like the world stopped for gamers everywhere, right?
Yeah, so thank you to Square Enix for like doing it with the pressure, because probably the pressure is like the most anticipated remake ever in history. For everyone who is watching, we're gonna go through the game, the events in the game, and then we're gonna be commenting how we felt when we play and how good they are. The game starts like same as the remake. Like you have you start seeing Aerith praying in Midgar. And then the camera zooms out and then zooms in again, and then you see this train arriving to the Mako Reactor, and then Cloud and Barret appear. So how did you feel when that happened? Like, what about you, Karian? How did you feel watching Aerith for the first time?
Long story short, I love Aerith, but basically when I was growing up, I had a sort of like identity crisis at some point. I didn't feel like I belonged. People in my school were nice, but I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I was a part of anything, which reflected back to how Aerith felt. She was the last of her people, and also how her personality somehow personified in me. Like I felt like I had some anger issues when I was a kid, and I wanted to correct that. And I saw how she was, her personality was, how kind she was, but still she was a bit playful and things like that. And I thought, I want to be like her. I want to project myself into her when I'm playing this game instead of projecting yourself into Cloud. Like, Cloud, who cares about that guy? Let's do Aerith. And that's what I did. And that was like probably my first playthrough of it. So when you get to the iconic part that happens to Aerith, I cried. I bawled my eyes out. I couldn't believe what happened. And I was at this point of utter rejection. Like, this is not possible. This can't be it. So I've always imagined that Aerith was, looking from above, right? Protecting them all. And then when you get to the end, and then you see that few seconds at the end, that's when I knew it. That's when I knew it. What I thought was 100% correct. And it just somehow made her an even bigger figure in my life. And that's why I kept on replaying that game, just to see more and more of her. Not of anything else. And then when you read out how the game they developed it. They were trying to figure out who was supposed to die. So it was supposed to be a 3-character game. I mean, 3 playable character game: Cloud, Barrett, and Aerith. And they were trying to figure out who was supposed to die. And initially they wanted Barrett, but then they scrapped it, saying that it was obvious. It was too obvious and it would have been cliche. So they scrapped it and they made Aerith be the one who has to sacrifice herself.
Certainly a shock when you first see it.
Yeah.
Right?
I wanted to ask you guys, like, I never experienced that moment, right? So, like, I love hearing everybody's story. Were you kind of like with Carrion, where it was just shock and denial and rejection, it sounds like? Because for me, it's like, I've always known that. As somebody who's never, like, played Final Fantasy VII, like, I think everybody knows that that's Aerith's fate, right?
So you knew she would die before you played.
100. Like, it's the worst kept secret in games.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's a meme of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know, but obviously I was a kid, so yeah. I don't know, as a kid, how old I was, maybe I was like 11. I probably didn't process that like the right way, but I was just like, no, but I need to see her final limit. What are you talking about? There are so many things.
And then you didn't see it for like 10 more playthroughs. Where do I get this stupid thing?
There was like this conspiracy, like you could actually bring her back to life, like doing like,
All that.
yeah, 99 items, dancing around the the gold saucer, or like, I don't know, like doing strange things, and I was doing all of them, and she never came back to life. I want to ask you, Carrie, like, were you happy with her design, like the new design of Aerith, like, you know, like how they portrayed her, like as a physically?
She was never not perfect, August. There's no question about it. Crisis Core, this one, Advent Children, this is her. I love it. The fact that Maya Sakamoto also, reprises her role to voice her, because she did the voice for Advent Children. I think that was the first one she did. So that the fact that she reprises her role as Aerith is just my heart. Just take it.
Yeah, the voice acting is quite good too. I was blown away by Cloud's hair, to be honest. Like, I think that's the first thing I was like, what's happening with the hair? Is this PlayStation 4 or 5? Yeah, I don't know how everyone else felt about the characters. Like,
It was amazing. You know, that's interesting you say that, because there's something that catches my eye. You know, when you look at the original designs for the Final Fantasy VII characters, not the polygon ones, right? But the sort of, what would you call
Nomura art, like,
there you go. They have sort of the big anime eyes, right? There's a lot of anime features about them. And somehow, some magical way, they made them look like normal humans in the game, but then they have these big anime features still. Like, Aerith has her massive eyes, and Cloud has his cheekbones and jawline that's like this, but it looks real, like it belongs to their body. I thought that was an amazing thing that they did so well. I almost didn't notice it until halfway through the game. But yeah, when you're introduced to Aerith at the start in the first cutscene, and then Cloud and Barrett too, it's like, how do you make these like larger than life characters look normal? Weird.
yeah, probably at the beginning you are busy just goosebumps. Yeah, like you don't realize about the character, but the more you play, it's like, wow, like they look so good. I think they took the pressure, maybe made them take a lot of care. I think the creators really love what they did, because they took so much care of the characters.
To me, it's the consistency of it, right? Because, of course, I'm going to bring up Kingdom Hearts, right? But Kingdom Hearts looks different. Like, the characters look relatively different as the game progresses. And granted, I think in Final Fantasy VII, it's kind of the same general timeline, so they can afford to look the same. But if you go look back at, like, Advent Children, for me, it's like, wow, they really made these cinematic looks of these characters into this game. But it plays completely fluidly. I mean, I was watching a bunch of cutscenes last night as well in preparation to, like, jog my memory of this. And I was just like, oh, even, like, Aerith's like necklace or something looks so incredibly real and detailed, but so natural, you know. So whatever this continuation is of these characters is just like mind blowing to me how they executed it. The visual aesthetic so incredibly well. Like it didn't look forced, like, oh, we have to make these characters look super remakey, or this wasn't a new take or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it still felt so fresh.
Yeah, I agree. And then we move into the Mako Reactor, and we can see the kind of relationship of Cloud with the other characters. There is also like Jesse, Wedge, and Biggs there, and we are gonna install a bomb and blow shit up in the Mako Reactor, because Shinra, this evil company, I don't want to get very political, but this game is very political. They are like kind of sucking up the planet energy, where Barret basically belongs to this Avalanche group, terrorist group. We fight this boss, so this is our first, I guess, contact with the battle system. I was confused. I didn't get into the battle system after like a few chapters, so I was like, what am I doing? Like, I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. I was just pressing buttons randomly. I really liked Barret. He looks way better than Advent Children.
But isn't Advent Children Barret design like the best? With the fish.
He looks so weird. His proportions are so weird.
It's too weird.
Like in this game, he's massive. Like he's like not natural, but it looks proportionate.
Like his,
This
they show his
fucking
like collarbones, and it's like, oh no, they actually go over here. Like,
Yeah, I want to sleep on those tits.
I played the first part of Final Fantasy VII so many times. So I bought it on mobile. I tried to get into it there, and then like before I had a PC, right? I had a Mac, so I couldn't play it. And then I finally bought it on Switch. But I've played the intro section so many times, and to me, it's like second nature. It's like, cool, do the thing. Here's the final boss battle, right? I think right as Remake came out, and obviously I was watching a lot of press. I knew that this section was obviously longer, but I was like, holy crap! Like they're dissecting a 5-minute sequence and really building it apart. And no, like that's obvious to everybody. But when I experienced that for the first time, I was like, this is mind blowing how they're really elongating this whole thing. So that was kind of like my first reaction when I like booted up that section of the game.
I think I got that impression when Train Cemetery. Oh my god, they went so far into like making only like one scene in the original into the whole section, whole chapter. So I got that. But yeah, I agree with what you see, with what you say, Aerith. Like they expanded every possible place in Midgar for this game.
yeah,
So,
and I think that like, I think I got the sense when you finish that bombing mission, right? When you finish that first mission and then you sort of like make your way through the stone things and out into Midgar, that's when I've realized like they're gonna show me every step from getting from this place to Sector 7, and then what it's like to move from Sector 7 to Sector 6. Like we're gonna get this feeling of geography almost, right? Like I can see this from over here. I can see this from over here. Like, and they did it. Everything is just, it moves. You walk everywhere. There's not a scene that is left to the imagination, right? They drew up Midgar, and that's so cool. How
much did you guys like stop and look around the world, like in the first part? Like genuinely, how much of that did you do?
First chapter I didn't. I didn't look around too much, but I was really like immersed into the story. I was really like, okay, I want to go. I know we have to go to this reactor, but then it took so long to go in there. But it felt so natural. It felt like I was really going there, not like skipping certain areas or just like in the original. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. Gameplay wise, though, I think I'm with Argos on this. I didn't actually understand what was going on. What I liked though was that Barret, if you're controlling Cloud, Barret, he also moves behind the debris. That when there was like laser things coming at you, he moves behind it, and I thought that was amazing because usually AI they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They get hit, they die.
yeah.
But Barret knew, and I love that.
when I didn't know what to do, every time the enemy was gonna attack, like big attack, I will just change character and I will say like, let them do the IA do this thing because I can handle it. They know how to do it better than me. So they are not so good at attacking offensive, but defensively they are very good.
And then the banter during the fight as well.
Yeah.
Because Barrett and Cloud, they didn't like each other at that time. So Barrett was like, come on guys, just get behind the debris or whatever else he was talking about. And I love that bit, even though I was so confused at that time, because that's like basically the first boss fight you have. But I loved it. I love every bit of it. And then replaying it in hard mode when you actually know what you're supposed to do, that was amazing. It was still good.
Yeah, now that you say about the banter during the battle, I think it's amazing how it grows through the game. Like especially Barrett and Cloud, you can see how Barrett dislikes Cloud at the beginning after every battle, and then towards the end of the game is the opposite. Barrett is looking for like Cloud's attention, like, hey, look at what I did this great, and I think that's like amazing.
Kind of want to get your thoughts here, but this is one of my favorite Final Fantasy battle systems ever because I loved 13. You're gonna get $1 every single time I bring up either 13 or Kingdom Hearts.
I hope I do.
Yeah, right.
I hope we all do get $1 for that.
Exactly.
We'd all be rich.
No, but like I think 13 was the one where because it was obviously my first one, but it felt active and also RPG like. Because when I went back to play like 1, I love RPGs. I love Pokemon. I love like that turn-based kind of system. But in terms of like the active side, like 7 blew my mind early on, like right at this battle scene, because I was like, holy crap, it feels like when people say they're remaking games nowadays, they usually make it like super action heavy and like, you know, some beautiful cutscenes and it's an action adventure kind of game. But like, no, dude, this battle system is the perfect marriage between the old like traditional Final Fantasy system and something that's new. Something that I feel like I didn't really feel with 15. So I kind of want to get your thoughts. Like, what do you guys think comparing the battle systems? Like, how did you guys feel when you first played this, other than the confusion that I'm sensing from August and Karen?
I will let Cranberry say, because I think he has similar opinion to me, maybe.
Well, I think that it was like, I mean, it all, you got to give credit to Kingdom Hearts. That's where this battle system really all kind of started, and it had its warts through that system. Final Fantasy 13 got ambitious with its battle system, right? It still had to keep that turn-based thing going on, or wanted to, menu-based. But then 15, you know, 15, they tried the action thing. I don't know, 7 just... They like... Final Fantasy 15 is almost obsolete now that this game is out, because the battle system sucks compared to this one. Every time you play that battle system, it's like, this is all the bad with none of the good of 7 Remake. I guess that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, when playing 15, I felt like it was fun, but there was something off all the time.
Yeah.
I felt like there is something very off here. But I have wanted to give credit to all these games, like from Final Fantasy 13, I think probably that was, well, 12 probably was the first time they really were like away from the turn-based system, and then 13, Kingdom Hearts. I think all these games were like walking, so now we could run and fly. I think flying, not even run, like we are flying in this game, because for me, I was very confused at the beginning, but by the end of the game, when I tried hard mode, I said, this is it. When I was playing hard mode and I was battling, I was like, this is the ultimate thing I wanted from a game. Like, I was so worried about changing from to see something like Kingdom Hearts, because in Kingdom Hearts, the battle system, I feel like I'm just slashing, like just pressing one button all the time and I can get through the game, most of the game. But I was worried it was going to be like that, but then I was like, no, you have to really think what you are doing here, and it feels natural and it feels good.
But it doesn't feel hectic. It's not like you're playing like Devil May Cry or something like that. Like, it still allows you to think through a battle as if you're playing Final Fantasy, right? Like, oh, like my ATB bar, or like whatever bar is running out, I gotta heal. That's my next step, right? So now I work towards doing that and hope the boss doesn't do this.
Yeah, if you don't do that, everyone, you will not defeat Hell House. We can get into that later, but just like there are battles in this game that you will not get through if you don't think. Yeah. Karin, you also said like you were confused by the battle scenes, and now you are playing hard mode in your stream. So how do you feel about playing hard mode?
So I played 12 first. I did not like the battle system in 12. What was it called? The Gambit system?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it because there were so many things that you have to like tell the AI to do. Basically, you have to tell them use cure if your health is less than 70%, then cure up 50%. All those kind of things. It was too much for me. Like I didn't care what the AI did. They just do what they do. Like maybe like 1 or 2 skills, fine. I can tell them to do, but after that, just free flow. I'll carry. It's okay. So I didn't like 12. 13, I've said this a lot of times. 13 was my favorite before I played VII Remake. I love the battle system in 13. How you have to also, yes, plan out what you have to do. Certain bosses get them to stagger, and then so that you can defeat them. And then 15, yeah, it was basically, it felt a lot of Kingdom Hearts. You just smash a button and then you can win the game. When I got VII Remake, it felt so much a combination of 13 and 15. Like the good things about 13, the good things about 15 mashed together. I loved it so much. Even though, yes, there was a bit of confusion, but I think it's granted for games that are not, how would I say, linear in the terms of gameplay. Because it's not just mashing buttons, and it's not just like turn-based as well. Right. It's a mix of the two. Mm-hmm. So I think confusion is normal, is granted, but that's the beauty of it as well. Like when you get to the later stages, you actually understand slowly what happens or what you're supposed to do, read up on the scannings and stuff like that, and then you'll breeze through it, which I loved. I really loved. And also I did not have any issues too much with Hell House. Maybe due to that, or maybe due to I just got lucky. I only died once, I think.
Karen's a flipping boss, everybody.
Wow. Wow.
She actually just came onto this podcast just to boast around the fact that she beat Hell House, like, instantly.
Wow. Hell House was the first time I actually streamed in my life. I actually did it in YouTube. And I think it took me like 2 days. Like I streamed one time and I didn't do it, and then the second day I was like, okay, let's do this.
That is where I had to learn how to, I mean, I will jump ahead a bit, but like that's where I had to learn how to use the other stance, like the parry stance. I was like, okay, now I have to use that, right? And that's life-changing when you learn.
I think the one-on-one battles, they teach you also many things about the character you are using. So we are gonna move to the second chapter. You were saying before, this is the first time I actually stopped to look around. I was like, I need to see Midgar. I need to see what this is about. I need to talk to the people. I was a little bit disappointed that you can actually talk to the people. You can just pass by them and they will say something. I wanted to actually talk to I wanted to grab them. I was like, I'm here. I've been waiting 10 years. I'm here with you. I just wanted to tell them how
to buy a ticket for Loveless, please.
Let me go into every house. I was very happy. Like the fire, like the city burning, like I don't know. It was amazing. And then I think you can comment on that, but I want you to comment also on like we suddenly meet Sephiroth in like I think this is the first time I was like, oh, what's happening here? Problems incoming. I was very disappointed to meet Sephiroth.
Disappointed.
Yes, I was very disappointed because for me the greatest thing about the game, the original, is like you don't know Sephiroth. Like you say, like who, what? You see like the blood trail in the Chiron building. You see this huge snake, like like killed by this guy, and then you are like, what the fuck? This guy's gonna kick my ass. So when I saw him in the second chapter, I was like, wait. This is not how it's supposed to be. I was this kind of a hardcore fan. This is not what I paid for. I want my remake. So, how did you feel in the second chapter meeting Sephiroth? And you can go into also meeting Aerith.
I also share the sentiment of exploring the city. That was just so cool. I think that like there's a couple times where we do see Cloud go into his weird like thing in the original. And I think it's hard to put it like a genie back in the bottle. Everybody knows who Sephiroth is. He's just as iconic as everything else. So there's no big reveal of this character anymore, right? And I think the idea is that Sephiroth and Cloud are like, well, Jenova and Cloud have this link, right? And like she's fucking with him. And she has been the whole time, and we don't see, pardon my language, but we don't really see that until, like, they don't reveal it to us till later in the game in Final Fantasy VII, the original, but it's happening the whole time. So I feel like they took what we already know and decided to try and shock us again, which is why, and this is a bit of a prediction, like, first of all, to all the people out there saying Aerith is not going to die, it's like, get out of here. It's too integral to the story. But I'd be shocked if they didn't do it in a way that felt slightly different and a little bit more jarring, I think they'll try to make us feel that as close to that same emotion as we felt before. And the reason I'm talking about that is because I think that's what they're trying to do with Sephiroth, right? Like, they're really trying to bring him in as... And I mean, you find out later in Final Fantasy VII, the original, it's like, wait, that wasn't really even him, right? Like, so all that matters in this. The whole Sephiroth in that game, which he shouldn't have been, I guess, right? If it was a total or a redo, makes sense to me because we already know about that guy. That's my long-winded answer for that.
I think for me, it's like Cran nailed it, where it's already out there. And I don't see this game. It's impossible for me to go into this game and say like, oh, Sephiroth's only going to be in the end, or if any at all. Like there's no way. Like from an economic perspective of trying to sell this game as well, like everybody wants to see Sephiroth, right? So I guess like it wasn't a shock to me, but I think August, your question is like, why is he here? I had less of that purist moment. I had more of a, oh, I think this is where they're experimenting with remake, where it's no longer this ominous, all-powerful Sephiroth that you figure out who he is and what's his deal throughout the game, because most people know that already, right? They're trying to go in a completely different direction. So I was more interested in being like, okay, now why is he here? And obviously this relates to the end of the game, right? But I guess I felt more intrigued and actually interested at this specific point in time when you start seeing, because like correct me if I'm wrong, right guys, but like when you walk through that fiery scene, it looks a lot like Cloud's hometown, right? Like they made that intentional, right? Nibelheim, yeah. So like for me, I was like, oh, like this is what I paid for. I just played Final Fantasy VII. Like I don't want to go through this entire like shindig again, right? So yeah, that's my perspective on the new aspect of Sephi being in the beginning.
Initially, I was shocked. Probably maybe purist like Agus, but also at the back of my mind, because there was a lot of fire there, right? Again, I was thinking like Aerith about Nibelheim, and I thought, is this it? Are they going to reenact the scene with Sephiroth in the clouds, and then he vanishes into the fire? I really wanted that to happen, and I was surprised. I liked where it was going at that time. I really did. And the music, guys, I can't believe we haven't talked about the music. The music in that scene, it still haunts me till today. What about you guys?
Like the game is a cinematic and operatic, like it's a masterpiece in that way, and they know that. So the music was like epic at every moment. The camera angles were epic at every moment because they needed to be, because the story was epic. So there's like, is there a moment where the music sucks? Or is it inappropriate? Or does it just guide
the crane mini game, yeah. The music in that tunnel, that's the only time I will ever like talk down on the music in this game.
There's the top three songs that I search is that one.
I think people might hate that music because it reminds you of the crane machine, which everyone hates.
It just reminds me of my date with Aerith. We were going through a tunnel together, just the two of us. Harry was shaking his head.
That song, Midnight Rendezvous, which is the name of the song that plays right before you get into the, right, you know? That's like my favorite. It's like young Cloud, young Aerith, you know, she's flirty and having fun. He's just like, no, I want to go back home. And it's just this kind of magical little song. Yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah, I was shocked though. Like, it felt very. I think one of the biggest snubs, again, bringing up Kingdom Hearts, but like the music from Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't get nominated for like anything, if I'm not mistaken, anything like major. And I thought it was such a snub. And I thought Yoko Shimomura actually did the music for this game, because of like how passionate it felt of the original Seven's music, but making it even like more memorable. But I will say, like, I wrote down a couple things that I wanted, like my pillars of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and music is up there. Like, I want to backtrack a little bit, August, because like even the intro music, when you start the game up, when the beat drops, when you see the title sequence pop up, like I felt like I was gonna cry. It's like I've never played, or it's like I just played 7. It's like, why am I getting emotional here? But it's like the music is such an integral part of this game, and yeah, I've never been, except for the crane, sequence, never been disappointed with it.
The music told me when I had to be like feeling goosebumps, basically. So I was like, yes, this is the moment. Yes. I mean, and I was confused about Sephiroth, but when I finished the game, obviously, I love that Sephiroth was there. Cranberry said, like, when Sephiroth appears, the camera, like, the close-up, everything is just perfection. When you get the whole picture, you get how the camera helps to realize how confused Cloud is. I think I was confused, but I think Cloud is... I was as confused as probably Cloud is in the moment, like, what the fuck is happening? So, and the camera helped a lot for that, because it was fast sometimes, but slow sometimes, and I think it's just perfect. And then we meet Aerith. This is the other big change in the game. Aerith is surrounded by these kind of Dementors, I guess, and from Harry Potter. That's the first thing I thought when I saw them. I was like, are they Dementors? So she's surrounded by those whispers, and then Clouds help her. And were you confused here too, or it was only me?
I love Aerith.
So I played originally with the English voice acting.
Same.
I thought her voice actor in English, by the way, is so good. Like, so good. You know, Cloud's got this really sort of monotone, like, all right, let's do the job and let's get out of here. Come on, you know? And Barrett's kind of got his, like, grumbly, like, what the hell? But, like, but Aerith just comes in, she's playful, she changes the mood in every scene, like, the voice acting, and even the character acting, right? Or the movement, the CG, or whatever. She commands the scene, and so they make you know that right away, the first time you see her, right? Even though she's a slum girl, she's the only one wearing clothing that is, like, colorful and whatever, like, picturesque. She's going to command every scene she's in until that moment.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Cran, because like one thing I wanted to bring up is that even in the original, it's so clear that Aerith is such an integral part of the team because of the color style of all the entire party, right? Like, it's so iconic that she's like so bright and colorful, and they made sure that it was this case in the remake as well. But in terms of, as somebody who's never played, this is such a weird one, because like I've never, like I said, I only played 7 right before playing Remake, and I felt so emotional meeting Aerith. And so again, this goes back to the props of Square Enix making even noobs to this universe. Like I've only known Aerith for 6 months, right? Like, we're kind of friends. We're not like deep lovers like Karen and Aerith are. Yeah, like exactly. Yeah, we're just keeping it a little bit different. But I mean, like, despite being of that kind of ilk, I was like, I almost felt like crying because of the music kicks in the right second, right? The way that you're walking toward, you see her in the background, you're walking towards, you know who this is. Like, it just felt so emotional. So I loved that meeting with Aerith. In terms of like the whispers, at this point I have no idea what was going on. So I was so curious about the people who like played it before. It's like that purist aspect of meeting Aerith. Like,
like Sephiroth, I said like I was very confused and disappointed. With the whispers, I was like, I ignored them. Like I was so like waiting for meeting Aerith. Like I forgot about the whispers after 2 seconds. Like I was like, oh, whatever. Like I think I actually never paid real attention to the whispers until is when you have to fight them, or maybe in the church with Aerith the second time. I think then I started to think about that, but before I was like, I don't know these guys, what they are.
I have a theory. I have an absurd theory about the whispers, but I'll share it once we've talked more about these things.
We are gonna have a whole section about theories at the end, I think. So we meet Aerith, she leaves, she gives us a flower.
That's when the battle theme gets introduced. It's the original battle theme happens there, and it keeps playing. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, playing like this.
That was a big hype moment, yes.
Oh yeah.
That was the first time I died. Yeah, in this there is a square, right?
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, there I died and I was like, oh fuck. I was also very bad at using materia at that point. I think materia matters way more in this game than in the original, which I actually love. Because the like I don't know like the dodge materia, the deadly dodge materia, for example. I didn't use that until like the end of the game, and I was like, oh, this materia is great.
Yeah.
And then Cloud, I think he's confronted by some soldiers, and then he jumps into the train, and then he reunites with the team, with Jesse and Biggs and Wedge and Barrett, and they go back to the slums. Do you have anything to say about this section?
Dude, I need to bring this up, but the Tifa v Aerith thing that's been going on for years, right? Which one is best girl and which one? Like, I don't want to get into the stances of everybody here, or maybe we do, but this flipping game made me care about Jessie on a level that I did not expect to care about her, right? Like out of the entire crew of characters that I felt so attached with, it was totally Jessie. So I wanted to bring this up because when I played the original, I was like, Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge, zero emotional attachment, right? But then because we're spending so much time with them, I was like, I flipping love these characters, like objectively love them, you know? But that's like one thing I needed to bring up before.
Those characters were like minor, nothing. And now they are like full realized characters. So yeah.
Well, if you play any other Final Fantasy game, there's always a Biggs and a Wedge, right? Like every single game there's a Biggs and a Wedge, and they're meant to just, which is obviously pulled from the Star Wars universe if no one knows that, but like they're always meant to play these sort of like kind of inconsequential characters, but like you might see them 2 or 3 times kind of thing. So it's really cool to actually have a fleshed out Biggs and Wedge character. Like, okay, I care about these, and Jessie obviously is part of that team. Yeah.
I want to say about Biggs, Wedge, and Jessie in the original. I was like, what, 7 maybe, or 9, somewhere there. I was kind of like on the fence. I didn't know if Jessie was a boy or a girl at that time.
Oh, the polygons.
I just want to say it out, because Jessie can be like either one, right? A boy's name or a girl's name. And then you can also have people like Queena in Final Fantasy IX, who is they just called her he/she. So I was like, is Jessie a boy? Is Jessie a girl, or is it like Queena? Never mind, I don't care about that person.
But she had the iconic boob armor, and then they gave her the boob armor again in the remake.
The thing is, it's polygons, right? So I thought it was just like sharp armor.
I'm so happy Karian brought up this topic, because I thought Jessie was a guy. Like for years. I thought Jessie was a guy. Yeah. I mean, maybe because English is not my first language, so maybe I missed something playing, but I was like, after years I realized, oh my gosh, he's a girl. I didn't know. I don't know. And also, like, I didn't feel the flirting. I mean, I thought there was some flirt, but in the original you cannot feel it so much. No, like in this game, it's like she's so horny throughout the game. So
like, you need to take a break there and say like, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the most like sexually charged Final Fantasy I've ever encountered. Like everybody feels like they want to sleep with each other, and it's kind of ridiculous. And,
no, Jesse.
Ridiculously attractive. No, but
Jesse
is like the overly 100% like up there. But in terms of like how suggestive a lot of the early game is, right? It's kind of ridiculous. And like again, everybody's flipping gorgeous in this game. So
they're all,
like,
by the way, like they're all 17 years old. Like, you know, peak just
Cloud's
like, let's fucking do this.
Yeah, that around that age.
19, I think.
21 maybe.
Cloud's 21. Aerith is like 24.
Hit that
23.
Well, either way, they're all young.
Jessie approached Cloud, and then she's like, oh, so you know Tifa? And I'm like, girl, we are bombing a city, and and we have to run from these enemies, and now you are getting all horny and talking about Tifa right now. Jessie makes a great work making Cloud work in this game, because in the original, you don't understand Cloud until the end. Like you think he's an asshole throughout the game probably, and then you say, why is Tifa and Aerith into this guy? But in this game, Jessie and Aerith both make a great work for the player to be like, okay, Cloud has some qualities that I like. Otherwise, he's just like, what? Why is he interesting at all? Yeah. And talking about that, we are going to the slums now. Sector 7 slums, and oh my god, you approach, I couldn't wait. I was like, oh, this section is too long, I need to go to to meet Tifa. And then she's in the porch, she's sitting down there with Marlene, the music plays, and she looks you into the eyes, you look at her into the eyes, and then she just says, hello, I'm Tifa. I'm the most beautiful version of Tifa you have ever seen in your whole life. And yes, you are allowed to fall in love with me right in this moment. Because that's what happened. I was like, what are they doing with my head? I was like, wow, this woman, am I straight now or what?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, they made her perfect. Like, everything is... Like, Tifa, the original Tifa was an absurd character, right? Just like straws for legs, cantaloupes on her chest, and just like, oh! And then it's just like, how do you turn that into like an actual proportioned human being? And they did it, and it looked normal and it looked natural. But the standout of that scene for me was Marlene. Marlene's voice acting, it's like Disney quality, right? Like, this is like, they didn't just get some, you know, 20-year-old Japanese girl that's got a really high voice, and you know, to do it. Like, they got a kid to do a kid's voice, and it's so good. It just, I remember thinking at that moment, I am immersed. I believe it. I believe these people.
Yeah, I'd be remiss not to show my love for Tifa on the podcast, because I flipping love Tifa, but mostly because of my experience with Remake, because I think Cran nailed it again, because it's the flipping voice acting, everybody. They even as gorgeous as like these character models are and how perfect they are, they feel it's not like too real, but it's also not too cartoony. It's like the perfect balance, in my opinion. The voice acting doesn't make them feel fake, when usually a lot of Final Fantasy does. And God bless my soul, I'm playing 10 right now, and you all know exactly what I'm talking about. But even like in things like 13, you nailed it, right? Because like I can remember what the like orange-haired character is, exactly that cheery kind of like kid-like voice. Vanille, yeah, exactly. But even things like when we were talking about Aerith's voice acting earlier, it's like it's kind of along that archetype, but nails it so much more. But yeah, so Tifa, for me, every single conversation I had with Tifa in this section, right from this point on until I think the whole slum area, it was just, I just wanted to talk to Tifa, because it felt like a real human being that I was connecting with, right? So that's what I felt right off the bat. Everything just felt so genuine, nothing too campy, which I felt the original Final Fantasy VII was the definition of campy, but I think that's kind of the point, right? So many positive emotions on this particular scene.
In the original game, I didn't really like Tifa. It's not because I was putting Tifa against Aerith sort of situation. It was just I didn't like her personality in the original, and looking back, I kind of understood why. purely her personality. I didn't like how she was a bit pushy in some scenes in the original, and but granted, I know the importance of her character, how she helped Cloud towards the end of the game. So I had like a neutral to negative connotation with Tifa, and going to that scene, I felt like, oh, she's nice. She's actually a nice person. and there was Marlene. I love Marlene, so I thought like she's bringing Marlene as well, who I love. Is she trying to win me over? Oh, what's the situation here? And then going further into the scene, I really did start liking Tifa after that. I feel like she is the perfect rendition of what Tifa is supposed to be in the game, in the original as well. It's not just this one.
She gets so many more layers in this game. I mean, all the characters do, because it's obviously like 5 hours a section is into like 40 hours, but I think Tifa has many more things to add to her personality than in the original. In the original, she was like sidekick, kind of like she only appears at the end to save Cloud, let's say, and then continue the story. But in this game, she's this motherly figure, which is actually funny, because if you think of the original, and I think of a motherly figure would be like Aerith and this communion with the planet, and she's the mother of everyone, no? But Aerith is just a sweet cookie, very naughty, and Tifa, on the other hand, is this very like motherly figure, which she's worried about bombing the things. She's like, she has like concerns about that, and she's worried about Cloud, and I think like there are so many. Also, the voice acting, Aerith said, is helping so much, like to add to the characters. So yeah, Tifa, I'm not gonna go into the team Tifa, team Aerith, because I haven't made up my mind yet. It's hard for me to choose things sometimes.
Here's my thing though. I love whilst we're talking about like Tifa specifically here, dude. I flipping by that she can punch a giant robot like through the face in this particular one, because like in the other one, of course I'm comparing polygons to this, right? But in this one, the way that she's but like the way she's physically built, and also the way that they animate a lot of her fighting moves and everything like that, I just flipping bought that she was like a full-on martial artist and just like punch the crap out of these things, you know? And that's why I love that they made that also pretty genuine.
Connecting with the battle system, Tifa is the best character in the battle system. Like,
I 100% agree.
100%
in the game. Yeah.
you have to learn how to use her. But once you learn how to use her, like, it's just like, and it just feels so good. It's like, I don't play fighting games, I think, since Mortal Kombat 1, but it feels like you are in a fighting game suddenly. Like, it's a different kind of game, and if you actually use the quick command, it's fluid and natural. So she feels so good fighting with Tifa. So they did a great job.
You know, it's another thing, and you kind of start to see this when you meet Tifa and she takes you into the bar. You know, after the sort of added on scene where she takes you up to where you're going to be staying, which I thought was really kind of cool. It's like, well, I got a house. Okay, I got a place to stay. That's so cool. I think that, like, overall, the Team Tifa, Team Aerith thing is really short-sighted, because, like, I think Tifa and Barrett as characters in the Final Fantasy world serve to be like moral thermometers, right? Like, you know, Barrett's like, how can you not agree with him? They're sucking. It's all like, it's very dear to me in Canada. Like, you know, our top industry is oil. We just suck the oil out of the ground. So it's like, you know, it sounds bad, and everything that's happening now, it's almost like they predicted it, right? But at the same time, you get Tifa, who's just like, yeah, but he's like murdering all of these people, right? You know, like, what are, you know, for killing all of these people just to save other people, then aren't we deciding that we're more important than you are? And I think that Tifa and Barrett really serve to be that barometer, whereas like Aerith and Cloud are more there to like serve a straightforward purpose, right?
Yeah, I agree, and also like I'm much more like personally I agree with Barrett. So sometimes when Tifa is so concerned, I'm like, just shut up.
Yeah.
We need to
Sit
bomb this thing.
Yeah, you
But-
neoliberal globalist.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like
Yeah.
I only felt that in the remake. Like again, granted I did speed through 7 because I wanted to play remake. It's not like I was
Right.
taking like spending 6 months with this game and like putting all the discs like you guys were. But I only felt that entire dynamic with the remake, right? Like but everybody knew that existed before, but I didn't buy it when I played the original game because I think it's more so explained in the other games and in Advent Children and all the like community lore around these characters. But in remake, they were just like, take that like 20 years of here's your encyclopedias of 7 and let me shove it like in this one game so that you can understand that at the get-go, which is like awesome and amazing.
She in the original until the end, she's like almost a plot device, like to make like Cloud, the past of Cloud explained, and yeah, at the end you can control her and she's a little bit more active in the story. But in this game, it's just from the beginning she's like saying like, I'm your conscience and you are killing people. You might feel that you are like the good guys, but think again. And I like also I agree with Barrett. I like that they portrayed this person as like she's Tifa in this game, and I like it adds so much more to her character too from the beginning. After this, we go to it's the first time we have like a little bit of like a side quest, right? Like is this chapter 3. We go into the side quest. We meet this guy from the Shinran Corporation that he's kind of you can do side quests for him, and he gives you materia.
I'm Chadley.
Chadley, yes, Chadley. Basically, Tifa, he has this idea like, okay, let's make you famous in town, and you work as a like the people can hire you to kill monsters, basically, like which is a little bit like game-ish RPG.
I flipping hated the side quests. I love this game, and it is like definitely a game either contender for me. But I wanted to get everybody else's takes because it felt so video gamey and old school video gamey, and not in a good way. And I will like because of the linearity of the side quests, I was just like, I'm only doing this to try to get the platinum and get the materia. Like let's just go. I'm very uninterested except for like maybe 1 or 2 side quests, like the ghost side quests, like later down the line maybe. But I don't know. I felt trying to go because I haven't gotten the platinum yet because Carrion's holding my PlayStation hostage. But I
What
want
PlayStation?
when I go back, I'm just dreading going through the side quests because it's so cumbersome in my opinion.
I feel that if you ever experienced any of the old Final Fantasies back in the day, something that was so integral to it was hitting a part and not being able to beat it. So you have to go back and grind. And I think when you make something more linear, like they had to do with this game, right? Like that's the very nature of the Midgar thing. Like you don't need a giant, poorly drawn open map to like be a placeholder for like these brilliant, beautiful scenes that you can do. So it's because of the nature of it being more linear, you have to have these little like. It feels like grinding back in the day almost, right? Going out and killing that dog in the junkyard or whatever, or killing the rats or something. It felt like grinding.
Finding the cats.
I'll concede that it kind of felt like MMO fetch questing. Go grab a bucket of water and come back to me. It wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't that bad because I think they tried to make it as, okay, Cloud, you're here. I want you to stay here for a bit. So you need to get money, dude. Like you can't live off of 2,000 gil. So go and be a mercenary, be hired, and find jobs and stuff like that. Some of it, yeah, I do agree. It's just felt random, but. It wasn't that bad.
I don't think it's bad, but I agree with Aerith. Like, it should be totally optional. Like, I don't think grinding should be like forced upon you. I didn't mind because I was loving the like playing with the characters and everything, so I was into
That's the
it.
other thing, right?
Yeah, so I was into it. But I agree. Like, if you are not like super fan of like Final Fantasy VII, it might be like, what? Now I need to do this. So. I think it's a valid criticism, but for me it was I was like, oh my god, yes, let's hunt cats, let's just do anything.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Together. Yes. Yeah, but I want to bring something. What is the problem? Like you sleep near Tifa, like in the next room, next door, and the Cloud's and Tifa's room's door looks so ugly. Like I don't know if you realize that. I will try to actually put like a YouTube video of the door, because it was like, what is happening with the door? It looks very ugly. Please, everyone has to go and see that door, because I think they spend so much computer energy into the character that the background was looking so ugly.
Which door?
The room's door.
The rooms that they
Isn't
go
it
into.
supposed to be ugly?
I think one thing I think is just that they haven't
Oh, I know what you're
patched
talking
texture issues. Another thing is it is the slums. So granted,
No,
Ours is in the Hilton, August.
Yeah, like I'm not saying like the door can be ugly, like aesthetically. I mean, like it doesn't look like rendering.
accessibly good, right?
Yeah.
That's what you meant. But yeah, I think it's just the texture issues they haven't fixed
Yeah.
until now. I'm still playing it, and it's still an issue.
I get the sense that when you look at, like, sometimes I really noticed it when I was at Aerith's house. Like, you look in the garden and it's like, that's incredible, and the light rays are amazing, and then you look up at the mountain and it's like, that looks like butt. Like, that looks like poo. But like, because I think they very tastefully said, okay, this is the system we have to make the game for. It's the PS4. It's not that powerful of a system compared to, you know, what's out now in 2019 when they were making it. How do we make the things that are in focus that you're seeing all the time look spectacular? And it's, well, like you say with the door, and now that I've said this, just look to the right every time you see a scene with them talking, and it just looks like you can almost count the pixels in the walls every time. But they do such a good job of making you not focus on that. You're focusing on the beauty in the game until you see the door.
My quick thing here is I never actually noticed a lot of the texture issues. I think when I was watching Carrion stream it, I was like, oh, interesting. There are a little bit of texture issues now that I look at it. 0%. Literally the entire playthrough, I didn't find any graphical fidelity of not being at that par. But another thing I'll say about this whole Final Fantasy aspect, right, is that I'm so glad they showed where people sleep, because this is one of my favorite things in like older Final Fantasy games, where you would always go into an inn and it's like, da, 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 and then you wake up, right? Like that's it. Or you see a couple of the beds. Like this one, I think if you go into Cloud's room, it's just like the standard like metal box. But then if you go into Tifa's, there's like more color, there's like a lamp, and it's like it just feels so, yeah, like it's just so natural and organic. And it's like, it's the little things like that in a Final Fantasy game where you often just rest as a point of saving and healing, to have these more human moments. It really felt that, like, as a small detail that meant so much to me in a weird way.
Aerith's talking about Tifa's room. Can I just talk about Aerith's room, even though we're not there yet? But I'm trying to find the same handbag that she has in her room. Maybe you can like pull up a picture or something. There's this one very cute handbag. I wouldn't actually buy it if it's just, you know, when I look in the store, and that would be the handbag that I want. But right now I just like, I want that handbag. I just need it. It doesn't have to be the same brand, doesn't have to look the same. I just want one.
That's hilarious. You're
I'm not gonna deny, I might have spent more than 5 minutes in Aerith's room looking at her stuff. I'm not gonna deny it.
Nothing else happened in this episode. We just go in the next chapter, which is that new, 100% new, right? Like, it's the number 4. We go to upper level of Midgar, and we meet Jesse's parents, and we meet Roche, right? Is Roche the guy in the motorcycle? We have this motorcycle section, which is also new in this game. What did you think about all this, like, 100% new story?
Good filler. This is an example of good filler in my opinion. I like, but also probably because I'm falling in love with Jesse. That whole aspect of finding more about how people's parents also have lives, right? You're not the whole like Sora in Kingdom Hearts where you hear from his mom once and then you never think about their family, right? Well, so like this was one of those moments, and I think it motorbike scene was fine, but that aspect of Jesse's family like nailed it for me.
It was good to see, it was good to see that her dad's dying. No, what I mean is like, it was good to see that like they are displaying these are the conditions in which people live in. They go to work in this factory and they can get exposed to Mako poisoning and die. Like, these are dangerous conditions. This company is a dangerous company. I thought that was really good to see, the way that they were trying to portray that.
And
it
I like how they
get you on Avalanche's side.
I like how they actually fleshed out people from the upper plate. Is that what they call it? Yeah. Because all you see is people from the slums, and then you sort of connect with people from the slums. They're really living it really harshly, but then now they're showing you, okay, this is how middle class per se people, this is how they live. It's not any better. It might be worse, but it's not that bad. It's not any better with Jesse's dad and his condition.
Yeah, they clean up the streets, make it look a little bit better. The same life.
My favorite part was having like a motivation for Jessie, and having like this backstory where like she hates Shinra because what happened to her dad, and she wanted to be this like actress, right, in the Gold Saucer. I think that was the most interesting part for me. I was very into Jessie too, because obviously they made her so attractive and so playful. So I wanted to know more. Rush, I was having doubt, and I keep on having doubts about that character. It's a very anime character.
Too anime.
So anime.
I don't mind him so much. I just wish he appeared again, or like he had like more meaning, just not like one chapter randomly appear and then you never see him again. It was very random.
Yeah, I think he'll come back.
Then it's fine, but for now, yeah, I'm totally with Agus here.
Yeah, I was thinking, I thought like he's gonna appear again at Hojo's lab, and he's gonna be like this kind of clone or some kind of strange experiment. I think he just add a little bit to this like kind of non-reliable narrator that Cloud is supposed to be, because he doesn't recognize Cloud when Cloud said like I was first class, and he said like first class my ass, like you were not first class. But at this point I think like for new players they don't even wonder about Cloud being a non-reliable narrator of the story. Like they believe him. The motorbike thing was also fun to try for the first time, so it was
yeah, exactly.
And it's good it's good they let you skip it. Yeah, I got the platinum, so actually I did that.
It's great that they recognize. Yes, it's great that they let you skip it. I also want to like give them credit. When you're on the train and Jessie wants you to, or Tifa wants you to look at the map of the train system, and like in the original game, it's like, oh, here we go again. Look at the train, and she just goes, she's just like, let's just get this over with. She's like, you want to look at this train system? Let's just get it over with. And I was like, that's a good joke. That's a good joke. I get it. Because that's how I always feel. And then so like that relates to like they get it. They don't want us. They want us to experience the game for the first time, but then like skip the bike stuff, skip the cuts or the side quests rather. Enjoy your game.
I think they are hearing to the fans in a good way, because hearing to the fans can be very dangerous, and like when you do fan service in the wrong way, I think they are doing fan service in the right way, like making Tifa look into your eyes and be like, oh my god, that's fan service, but it's very well done. That's why I'm very excited about the next parts of the game, because I think they are hearing and they are doing it right so far. So yeah, I agree with Cranberry.
I actually have a different opinion on that scene that Cranberry mentioned. I was actually, back then, in the OG, I was actually amazed that they can actually do that sort of technology with the PS1 at that time. And I was actually looking forward to the whole thing, like, let's see what they can do now with today's technology. And yeah, but it's not a complaint. It was just something that I looked forward to. Sorry?
I think they did though. There's a scene towards the end that I want to bring up later, but it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, I had this moment on the train where I was like, oh, I remember this in the original, and this was like, this is kind of the vision of what they wanted to do with this scene, but it looks so bad now. And then now in the remake, they're able to, I feel like, make that original vision into how they originally saw it in their minds. But Karen, I want to bring it up later, but I think there is a scene that they do that exact thing though.
Problem is I played the original Final Fantasy VII like no joke 50 plus times. So like you sit down, you go to play the game, right? You get that action sequence. Everything is good and you're fighting, and then you get onto the train and it's the da 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 music, right? Like it's not very intense and it's just doing this stupid repeating train thing while you're skipping the dialogue. Like it's the real first buzzkill of the game, you know? I thought
I get what you mean. Mean, but different perspectives, right?
Absolutely,
I was looking forward to it. You weren't, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's chapter 4. Chapter 5 is they go to the next bombing mission. Cloud isn't supposed to be hired, but then these whispers come and then they hurt Jesse, and then Cloud is back in the game and he's hired again. They go in the train. They got caught and they have to jump from the train and then just walk into like the upper layers of the city. What do we think about the whispers hurting Jesse and I guess there is not much comment in the section after that because he's just fighting through. But yeah, I think the main event is Jesse being hurt by the whispers.
Can we like talk full on the whispers now? Or is just
you can say anything.
Trying to figure out like what's their point? What's the purpose of the whispers? Why are they here? They're of course an addition to the game. So, but what's their point to actually hurt Jesse? And then also the fact that you couldn't enter the hideout beneath Seventh Heaven.
Biggest loss
like,
of the entire
yeah,
game.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carrion.
Yeah. Wag that finger, because I totally agree. Come on.
Yeah.
And I love that scene in the original where everyone enters the Seventh Heaven and then they just jump into it.
Yeah.
I love that part, and I wanted to see how would they
boxing the thing. Like...
Exactly. Just getting angrier and angrier.
And hitting Wedge, I think he hits Wedge too.
Oh, yeah.
Or he throws Wedge or whatever. Yeah.
Are we not really going down there? Like, we need to go down there and ride that pinball machine, please.
Yeah, and I just want to see it, like, littered in, like, half-empty beer bottles and cigarette butts everywhere. Just like it was in the old game, you know? Like, a dirty drinking hideout for a bunch of no-goods. Eco-terrorists. A scummy hideout. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I guess like I don't have much to say on it. It relates because I see like I even forgot that you could go down there, right? That wasn't a huge integral moment for me. Remember like playing 7 for the first time, nor was it in Remake. So it was kind of like I think from the perspective of like, cool, let's get this moving. Like I get what they're touching on with this team dynamic. It was all there anyway, which is an interesting one. And then the second thing on like the whole Jesse getting hurt, I didn't even know. Like, was she supposed to be in the original mission and in the original? Like, was she not hurt? Was that a change? Because I didn't even bat an eye that she got hurt by the whispers, you know? Yeah, I think this chapter it was fine. I guess like you're right. It was just kind of very linear. Just go like cool gamey, like pick up that little materia that you see over there, like progress with the mission.
Oh, I think I forgot Johnny. We didn't talk about Johnny.
Love that they gave Johnny and his. Oh man, so much about Johnny is right. You go into Sector 7 for the first time. You go to 7th Heaven. You go out. And then Johnny is up at the top, and you can talk to him. He's like, I gotta get out of here, man. I gotta get out of here. And you meet him again at Honeybee Inn, and he's just like, I don't know. Should I go in, man? I don't know. But they just turned this weird creep, dude, that hangs around town is up to no good into this, like, perfect. And his music, it just sounds like they put a microphone in a room with, like, a blues band, right? And they're just like, just play something greasy.
Again, is filler adding into the story, because we see how Tifa is scared of Cloud, which is I think a lot very important moment also for the story. Like Cloud is gonna kill him, and then Tifa is like, "What are you doing? Why are you gonna kill him? He did nothing." And I think I love how this filler again is important for the story, the character development. So yeah, everything is right, and then we will see him again in the world market. So yes, we can comment. Everything is right in this game. We love it. Chapter 6 is also like, probably we don't have much to say. Is Follow the Lights. I think is this chapter where you have to move things around to go through the chapter, and you can miss like material. I actually missed the first summon material, the Chocobo. I think I missed it. I got it when I went back to redo hard mode.
My thing here is that I'm afraid of heights. And I thought, when I was looking down, I was like, "Oh, this game is great." Like, I'm actually kind of afraid right here. That's my only comment on this chapter, for the record.
I remember looking at the lights, thinking the lights look amazing. Like, holy, those lights look good.
So Aerith, were you like Barrett? Because there was that one part
right?
where they were on the thing where they're trying to like balance themselves, making sure they don't fall off, and Barrett was like so scared.
You nailed it, Karen, because that's like kind of one of those moments where I completely forgot until you brought it up, where the small character details that you were bringing up before, it totally adds to this game. That if it popped up in dialogue in the original, it's just, I'm gonna skip over it. Like, cool, I don't hear the fear that Barrett is experiencing. So again, these small details, like I'm afraid of heights, but when I looked down there, I was like, wow, this game is fleshed out, and the fact that those characters feel the same, chef's kiss right there.
And I think I got lost. You know, you have to turn on like the 3 different lights. You'd have to turn off the 3 lights. Like, I got turned around a few times there, and I just feel like I think
very video gamey.
Yeah, it felt like, okay, it's time to move on because I know what's coming, and I really, really want to get to that thing that I know that's ahead.
And then we go to the next one, a next bomb beam. It's a little bit longer than the first one, I believe. We have to go through the Mako Reactor, and then we go outside. We have to complete some, like, we have like these cards to go from one section to the other.
And do you remember which one you discarded first, the first time?
No.
I remember thinking like, oh man, like what? This one makes him move faster, but like, what is he even gonna do? Like, I don't even know what this boss is gonna do. So
yeah, because in the original, he wasn't that boss wasn't really that hard, right?
Not really. So I just got rid of the big bombs. I remember getting rid of the big bombers because I was like, I just remember that attack for the first one. That one does a lot of damage. So
yeah, I think I was the same. I think the big bombs. I was like, no. Yeah, and then we fight this massive boss, and we discover that President Shinra, he knew all along that we were bombing. Actually, we kind of know that the previous bombing was greater than it was supposed to be, because they made it on purpose like that. Like there is like this massive like conspiracy to blame Avalanche for these things and the future plate dropping. So we learn all those things, and then we see this hologram of because he appears in the original game. He's physically there
on the helicopter.
Yeah, in this game he's just a hologram, and which I personally love, because it says like, this is cyberpunk, this is the future, there is technology to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
And he doesn't need to be there in the middle of like a terrorist attack. Probably he doesn't want to be there. So yeah, what do you think about this whole section?
Can I just first talk about the sliding? Remember when there's pipes, and then you can slide the pipes? In the original, there was,
yes.
It was there. And in this one, I love that scene so much. I felt like, oh, I'm in the original.
Yeah.
But, 3D, full 3D. It was amazing. I love that part.
And then slightly later, right before this scene that we're talking about, you can do the like, ka-tink, security things.
Yeah, the switches.
That was so annoying in the original. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can't identify. I'm sorry. The nostalgic qualities for those things is like so interesting to hear you guys talk about. But I think when I was playing the original, it was kind of just like, cool. I know this is old. Like, let's just go.
Well, the scene where you try to synchronize, that for me, like, that's like a test. Every time that I play the original Final Fantasy VII, it's like I want to get that on the first try. if I don't get that on the first try, because you only get one shot to do it on the first try, right? It's like if I don't get it on the first try, then I'm a failure. It's like I suck at this game.
Gotta restart the game.
Exactly.
New save file. No, but then the other thing is like August, I think you touched on it, where again it goes back to this thing where Remake really, I think in their minds when they were programming, like the core team was like, here's how it is in our mind, but here's the technology that we're using to create this thing. But Remake really let that, like the technological capabilities or the barriers just like let loose. So the hologram is totally one of those things where it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
This is how it should have been originally for sure, right? And it's so cool that even like the hologram, like you can tell that there's like drones projecting it because it's like flickering a little bit. So just more of those examples are throughout the game, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And then that electric guitar just kicks in right for the boss music. And
Yep.
It's just like, oh man.
God.
And then
So
there's that,
hype.
like violin in the background, and like it's the same. It's just like an electric guitar and some drums, and it's like, then they added the violins, and oh my god. I had chills, I had goosebumps. This music was like blaring in my ears. I was streaming it, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just like so excited right now. Everything's sensory overload. It was amazing. That's the best I'd felt since the start of the game.
And then Cloud falls. He falls in this unbelievable. He should die in the original. He should die in this game, but apparently those flowers are very strong.
Here's the thing, though. I kind of was like looking at the scene. The Whisperers seem like they're making sure that he doesn't die there.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
they're like circling. They're like circling his body, like right before he gets that like vision and wakes up. So it's like it goes back to the dissonance of reality thing where he objectively should have fell to his death there, but this game is kind of like accounting for that.
But like, okay, Cloud uses a sword against like bullets and all this stuff, right? Like they don't really like, they let you know right from the get-go, like probability and reality gone.
Yep.
Cloud can survive a 500-foot drop onto flowers, and you shouldn't even bat an eyelash. Yeah.
There's also this I wouldn't say argument, but also something that happened in his childhood in the original, where what was it? I think he also fell with Tifa, and somehow he managed to survive without a scratch. But I think Tifa was like injured at some point, and then that's why they sort of the adults told Tifa not to play with Cloud, something like that.
Yeah, that is the.
So it's sort of like telling you, okay, Cloud can survive. He's able to survive like much damage without scratches. So I mean, I know this is the early part of the chapter, but that was in the original as well. It's sort of like telling you that Cloud is overpowered since he was young.
I'm assuming this is Carrion's favorite scene, though.
Yeah, we are going to. This is when the music plays. We meet Aerith. Well, we met her before, but I guess we officially meet her. We meet also like the Turks. We go into this. We go around the church and we try to escape from them, and the Whispers help us escaping from them, which is the first time I actually thought about what's happening here. Why are these guys helping me? Well, they help Aerith not falling down. So, Carrion, how did you feel?
Third time I cried.
Third time.
Only?
And then I want to address the fight with Reno. Like while you're fighting him, if you touch the bed, the flower bed, and Aerith's comments, have you guys noticed that? Her comments?
That. Yeah.
Like some of them, she was saying like don't step on the flowers, and I actually got to one point where she was like, I gotta start all over on my own. With that intonation, I'm like, dude.
Like there's this like epic fight happening and thing, like, guys, my flowers. Like, meanwhile, your Cloud like, I'm saving the world.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? Yeah. I want to say, like, also, the Airbuster. That music is so powerful, and it's like consuming and immersive. You drop down, you go through the Aerith scene, and you fight Reno, and it's like that music that they designed, which is original boss music, also just you kind of get sucked out of it. You meet Aerith again, you talk to her, and then it's just right back into this like really high-paced action. Like there's no time to calm down here, and that's brilliant. They don't let you calm down. I love that.
Yeah. It looked like the train just keeps on going, right? Despite these moments of like levity,
which is the metaphor.
Exactly.
That first cutscene, right?
Exactly.
Like the beat starts off with that chugga 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 from the train wheel, right?
Yep.
And then it's just let's go. The train starts here.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I'll bring up in this scene is that it's obviously great. It's beautiful. I did feel emotional too because they make Aerith just look like a goddess, right? Which she is. But my thing here is that. But I think this is the first scene where you actually, or not the first scene, this is one of the scenes where you see a snippet of the future, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, like when you're talking to Aerith, you see a little like quick cutscene of the iconic Aerith scene where the materia drops and there's like blue overlays everywhere. And then that's what I was playing. I was like, oh, this is when a lot of game remakes do this or like remasters do this and they like try to change up the story and show you what happens later on. It's always cool. But this one, it was like, oh wow! Right when you meet her, I don't know if this happens in the original because like it wouldn't make sense if it does, right?
No.
Like in the original, you just meet her and it's a great time. This one is like, oh, you're meeting her, it's so emotional, it's so good. Yeah, she dies later. Like just to remind you, right?
Don't fall in love with her; she'll die later.
Yeah, it was so cool because I kind of expected Zack to also pop up in this scene, but I don't think he did. But yeah, it was a cool, very very cool moment for me.
That was the scene where everything was white and then Cloud was sitting and then there was another Cloud, right?
Another Cloud instead of Zack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the original he has this, someone is talking to him. I think it's himself. So I think it's normal that they try to do in the originals, in the remake, something like
right.
like in this case it's him seeing the future because there is more things messing up with his mind now. But it was pretty cool.
That gets into the whispers, right?
Yeah, for me it was the first time this time. Like I was like, all right, these guys hurt Jesse, but now they are trying to help me. So they have an agenda in things, and I think it's probably the first time I was thinking they are moving the plot forward as the same of the original game. And I think I didn't have much idea of all the like what would happen at the end, but I was like, okay, let's see where it goes from here. Yeah.
There's a great scene, like I still remember this, where Aerith like almost falls on the church, right? And then they catch her and bring her back. And in that moment it clicked. I was like, these aren't just like random, like don't go to this section, or there's something deeper at play here. And that was particularly the moment where I was like, oh, they're not supposed to, they're saving them. Fascinating.
Yeah, I think I was expecting actually Aerith to know them. So I was very surprised when she said like, I don't know these guys. I don't know these whispers. But I think she says in the game, they are helping us. So I think that was the thing that clicked for me. Like, okay, so yeah, they are helping, but they hurt Jesse. So they are helping in a strange way, in a different way. Yeah.
They're helping fate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
First time playing, I was confused. I didn't know what's going on because as you said, they hurt Jesse, but then now they're helping us. Like, what's going on? But also for me, they were blocking treasures.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Like I was so angry. I was like, don't put materia where I can see it and I cannot get it. No, don't do this to me. Like I couldn't. I was like, I have to go back to the church. Until I could go back to the church, I was thinking I have to go back to the church to get that freaking material. Yeah. And in this game, it's so valuable. The material is so valuable. Like it's like so scarce. So you just want to get every piece of it. So yeah.
They do that well a couple times where they tease you, and you're just like, shit. There's no way to get back. I gotta. Okay, mental note. I have to come back here.
Is this the same chapter where Aerith swears?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
great Aerith moment for me.
The thing is, in Japanese, she doesn't swear. I don't think she swears. She just said like, "Oh no" or something like that in translation. But in English, she swore.
Yeah, there is no way of swearing in Japanese anyway, so.
Oh.
No, I mean, yes, you can swear, but it looks pretty ugly.
Localization teams, from what I hear, did really well. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's definitely, more, like, what would you say, socially acceptable to swear?
Yeah. Yeah, so we traveled with her through the roofs. It was an amazing moment because you get to know how Aerith was supposed to be in the original. So playful, but compared with Jessie, is completely different kind of playful, and it adds so much for Cloud, I think, because it's the first person. Cloud has like this kind of mental baggage, and Tifa is his childhood friend, so obviously the baggage is there in his head, I feel. But with Aerith, he can be like a completely new person, and I think for Aerith it works likewise. Like, Aerith has a huge baggage because she's a Tetra. She's like the last one of her kind. And Cloud is this new guy. And on top of that, it reminds her of...
the exact same clothes and has the same sword
as Zack.
Yeah.
Is everything like you want Tifa to be, like, because Tifa is this love interest of, like, childhood love interest, but Aerith doesn't know him, so she can allow herself to be this playful, while Tifa probably can't. So I just love how it works out for her.
For me, the iconic part where she says that Aerith is the best soldier.
Yeah.
She is. She can do anything. She can be the best soldier if she wants to be. She's just not.
She doesn't want to.
She really starts to show her complexity as a character. Like, you can't really pin her down. Like, what? Like it becomes also very clear like in your first one or two battles. It's like, wait, she doesn't need a bodyguard to get through these these hedgehogs. Like, she can hold her own in battle. Like, yeah, she's not a Hulk or anything like that, but she can make her way from home to the church, no problem. She likes to flirt. She also, like, takes care of, like, she's multifaceted. She's a complex person that, like, you can't just take this way of acting and be like, that's her personality, or that's what she's like. Oh, she's this, so she must be this. It's like, no, she's too many things. Makes the brain explode.
Yes.
You'd think she'd be like the summoner or the healer that always needs to be protected. But she's not.
But she is in the first game. But
So you're touching on it because I think that's what I wanted to bring up, because I'm also, when I played the original, it's very much here's your characters who do this purpose, right?
Yeah.
But then especially here, I think when this scene where you start to see that, oh, Aerith can really hold her own as a character, but then also in combat. Because, like, for example, I'm playing 10 right now, and Yuna is, like, so useless to me other than healing. And maybe it might change in the future once I, like, develop that character. But again, it goes back to that, oh, healer does this, that's it, done, you know? But this game really, like, turns that, develops that more so.
Her battle system, for me, was a little bit slow, like, compared with the other characters, but especially playing with Tifa, and then you play with Aerith, she moves way slower. It took me a while, but then when you learn how she can boost up the other characters with the magic and everything, and she's like,
so cool.
Wow. And then when you get the Ray of Judgment, I was like, yes,
like, okay, no.
she's floating, she's freaking floating. She's like Gandalf or something like that. Like, I was very hyped. And we move on to her house. We go to meet her mother, adoptive mother, Elmira.
They did really well too, I think.
She is having none of it. She doesn't want to hear any of this. She knows
she's seen this before.
The Turks are after her, and then this guy's trouble, and probably, he looks like Zack. So he has to leave the house at night when no one sees him, and then moment...
When I played the original, it took flipping forever for me to exit that house because I kept knocking over the dumb, like, buckets or something. Talk about, like, old game is old. That one I just got so frustrated at.
You were trying to run through.
I was so impatient.
You just gotta walk.
But it's also, like, because of the way, like, the PlayStation is, like, left, right, down, right, straight, and so like trying to navigate that with, like, an analog stick was just so annoying.
I love they kept that part in the remake.
They made it more So every time you hit something, she will remove a certain item from the hallway. And I think I read this somewhere in an interview where they said that it was on purpose. Aerith basically left everything everywhere on purpose, just to mess with Cloud. So every time if you fail, she will wake you up. I mean, she will tell you to go back into the room, and then she will on purpose take out one thing to make sure that you can actually get out, so that you can go move forward with the game. And I like that. I really do.
I think that also, you know, they did a good job of showing this in the remake, but also just Aerith kind of is like, she's got that, I don't want to call it cocky, because the truth of the matter is she is often one step ahead of everybody else. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, she's that calm demeanor of like, don't worry, it's fate. We're doing it, right? We're living, so we're good. So yeah, she's always kind of like, you know, everybody thinks they're pulling a fast one on Aerith. Oh, I'll sneak out at night. No, I already know. You know.
Yeah, she knows way more than we think she does.
All the time,
Yeah.
But I almost wanted to run into everything to hear all the different, to exhaust the voice lines, right?
Yeah.
Did you?
Absolutely.
Anything interesting? Because I got it in one go, actually.
Wow.
Gary's just such a pro.
Yeah, such a pro. I don't
because
remember
you know what's going to happen. I don't want to get Aerith mad.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess before I move on from this particular scene in this area, like, shout out to the level designers for this section, because it was always beautiful in the original, but this one as a level felt so cool that there's different planes and different verticals and all the flowers. There were a couple different flowers, and to me, this one just felt so wholesome, and I felt really immersed in this particular scene. And also when you come back later on as well, like, this level in particular is gorgeous.
Can I also say about the house? Where does Elmira sleep?
Exactly.
There's not a second room. There's 2 rooms now.
Exactly.
There's 2 rooms. One is a guest room, one is Aerith's room. Where does Elmira sleep?
She's always on the table.
That's a Square Enix trope, right? Like, mom never has a bedroom. Like,
does mom even exist?
I'm surprised. Yeah,
Kingdom
I'm surprised
Hearts?
Mom exists.
There you go.
There is this door, like, under the staircase. Maybe she sleeps like Harry Potter under the stairs.
Light, you don't get any electricity.
Actually, what Aerith said, I forgot, like, you get all the slums. Like, you, in the previous game, in the original, it's just one picture, too. You get to meet the orphanage, which actually is the orphanage where Biggs, I think, goes. You get to meet this lady who works in the orphanage during the day, and she works in the honeybee during the night.
That was so cool.
Wait, Miss Folia works in the honeybee?
Yes.
You find her out back smoking.
Yeah, if you go into the back alley, yes. She's like, oops!
What is that? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. And then you can actually not confront, but see her again, and then she will tell you, like, oh, don't tell anyone, I think, or something like that. Then you go to Aerith's house. That's what I wanted to say. And then you see the place is like, oh, this is heaven. This is what Aerith can do. Like, even in the slums, she can create this little heaven, like the flowers, like the river is just, and the music there is also amazing. So, I don't know, I was goosebumps again there. Like, I was like, oh my God, I wanted to see this place so badly. Yeah.
Someone was saying to me that they were saying Aerith is selfish, because basically why the slums look so bad, but then her house looks so nice. She's taking all the resources.
Yes.
But I wonder, like, I've always kind of, like, the flowers grow where Aerith is. So, you know, maybe it's not often said, but I don't know, like, what did that place look like before she took Aerith in, right? So maybe it didn't look like anything nice. Maybe it was a dried up boneyard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I have the same thought. I was like, whoa, wait, is she like kind of like the
like on the top, so metaphorically it's like
bourgeoisie.
Yeah, the slums bourgeoisie, like this. Yeah. No, but I was like, okay, no, she's just like all powerful, so she gets to get flowers. So yeah, let's just do Wall Market and then we finish.
Hot topic, the highway between Sector 6. First impressions for me were like, this music's rad. Oh my god, I actually get to use the hand. I get to use the hand, right? Now, not so much anymore. In fact, now I just kind of like press the stick over so it goes like, and I'll just like do that forever, or slam it on Aerith.
Oh my god, I tried to crash Aerith so many times with it.
Invincible.
She's like, Cloud, Cloud. Yes. I have a question. How long did you let Aerith hanging the first time you meet her in the roof? You know there is a thing about... There is a guy who left her hanging for 24 hours. You know in the...
Oh, you mean the high five?
Like, no. When you go... The first time you meet her and you go in the roof, like on the roof from the like church, she's climbing and then the stairs break and she's hanging there. And then you have to help her. And you can let her hang in there for a while. And then there was a guy who left the stream 24 hours on with Aerith hanging there.
That's so
She can be the best soldier.
She didn't fall, so...
Do you have any voice lines? Hello.
I actually did that too. I was like, oh, let's wait a little bit. And like a couple of minutes.
I couldn't. I was too... My chivalrous heart was too like...
immediate.
Whoa,
I had to do it.
Fair maiden.
Highway was I think I touched on this before. It was the music that got to me because it was so repetitive, and it's fine. It's a good track. It's good music, right? But it was just I think it was also a point in the game where we talked about grinding before. This, out of the entire game, was the only place that I did a little bit of grinding because I was a little bit under-leveled for some reason, or I felt a little bit under-leveled. And so I just went back and forth, let the enemy spawn, come back in. So because of that, I heard the stupid music over and over and over and over again. And also, like, the crane is great. It's cool. But dear God, did it, like, overstay its welcome, in my opinion. But honestly, it was, like, cool because you were spending a lot of time with Aerith. And it was, like, a lot of, like, interesting character development throughout. They're so linear as well.
So I did feel like I didn't like the crane part, at least like I think it was 3 parts, so like the third part perhaps, the one where there are 2 cranes and then you have to figure out where to put the cargo thingy on top of each other. It took me so long to figure that one out that I hated that part, just that part. But I loved that, you know, we can have a talk with Aerith, we're walking with her, basically we're on a date with Aerith.
Yeah.
What's there more to say? I'm happy. I was at my happy place. But I think there was also that scene, if I'm not mistaken, before you go throughout that whole thing, where Cloud kind of gets his memory thing. Am I right? Or was that after?
What
like
memory?
he had a sort of scene that he was thinking he kind of saw Sephiroth, I think.
I think when he meets her, he has that thing, but I don't know if he meets Sephiroth.
Yeah, it was that one. He meets Aerith and then he has sort of like Sephiroth thing. What do you guys digest about that? Because I thought it was just like a one-off thing, but it could have been more. I'm just not sure.
I didn't have an idea of what was happening. I thought somehow Sephiroth was trying to make Cloud know that Aerith is gonna die.
But it's basically just the Genova cells. Because I feel like the Sephiroth, there's a few versions of him. One is actually like the real Sephiroth, and then some of it is just the Genova cells that are trying to play inside Cloud's head. They're trying to conjure up Sephiroth and all that. And I don't know, it kind of gets me confused. Like, which one is which, and then what are they trying to say? Right, this is going towards the end as well.
Do we even know which one is which? Like, are we even supposed to know? Like, that's the thing too. I remember sort of, it took me like 2 or 3 or 4 playthroughs of the original to get that, like, you know, when you get to the crater and you see Sephiroth in the crystal, in the ice, I'm just like, it took me a long time to realize, like, oh, like, that wasn't, like, that's him. The rest of that was all just an illusion. The rest of that was Genova trying to bring these people back for the reunion or whatever. I think they're trying to confuse us in the same way that they did the first time. It's just...
Yep.
they can't do
I
that
agree.
if you know what's gonna happen.
First time I played, my thought was like, how did Sephiroth get into there? Like, I thought like somehow he was playing with us, and then for some reason he went into the crystal thing. But I thought that like for several playthroughs, so I was like, I still don't get this, but hey, it's
It relates because I think you guys like bringing it up where the aspect of confusion still exists in the remake, right? But then there are moments where they still feed you the same old information, because I think like this scene when you're talking with Aerith once you get out of the tunnel, right, at the playground, they're talking about Zack, but if I'm not mistaken, she like says the word Zack and then they mute it, so you're not supposed to know who like Zack is, and it was like Cloud's having his like moment again. So it's like it seems like that they balance it between the old like, oh, for those that know, obviously know the scene, but for those that are new as well, like they don't want to just say Zack and like kind of give you all the backstory. They're still trying to lead you into the 7 universe. But I also thought that scene was so cute.
In the first game, she says, it doesn't matter. Right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I didn't like also like the the hand thing. The first time I was just kind of like, oh, this is kind of goofy, and I'm happy they put it. But then the second time I play, I was like, let's do this quickly. Yeah, then you have the park when they are sitting down in the park. That is this very emotional scene. I'm really happy that actually you can get into the slides. Actually, I discovered that through a stream, someone's stream, because I didn't do that. I didn't know you could do it in my playthrough. And also the physics of that sword. The sword just bends with Cloud's body. I just love that. Yeah, what did you think about that? And then Tifa coming in the carriage.
when the doors open to Sector 7 and Tifa's wagon comes out. She's standing on the back, or she comes out of the back. I love that they played with that element of it, you know, like it's just as cheesy as it was. It's Chocobo Bill's stupid Chocobo wagon. You know, like what? Like, don't you have like a motorcycle? You have motorcycles. You don't need this Chocobo wagon.
And then they fleshed it out after that, right? In the next chapter.
Yep.
That they made it a thing, a real thing, and you fast travel with that as well.
Love it.
I really love it.
This is the start of the relationship between Aerith and Tifa. And I mean, they don't talk to each other, but Aerith is pushing Cloud to go and rescue Tifa.
First time where it's like, okay, that person is involved in this thing right now, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we can go into that in a later chapter when they actually are traveling through the like sewers and everything. But I just love that there is a love triangle apparently, but there is no love triangle drama in the game. So I just love how Aerith is 100% into, no, you are gonna go and save this woman, and yeah, I just love that.
So maybe just be touching base on the next chapter, Wall Market. I agree with you, Agus. I like that they made them friends. That they don't pitch them against each other to, you know, allow the whole Aerith versus Tifa sort of thing to become like a bigger thing. They made them good friends, and I love it so much. It's amazing how they did that dynamic. And then they actually did, if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere in an interview that they actually did ask some of the staff on their opinions, what should they do with these two, and then the staff were saying that let's make them friends, let's not pitch them against each other, and they did it in the best way possible. I have no idea if they can do it any better, but this is really good. This is really good.
I think they had to, because like that would have taken way too much away. Like they're supposed to be on a team. B, like, you know, it's not jumping, I guess, too far ahead, but like Cloud and Tifa are gonna become a thing, right? Like that's like Aerith is bigger than that. She's there as like kind of a thing to like maybe get Cloud's head out of the gutter, maybe even get Tifa's head out of the gutter, right? Like it's just life, guys. I'm coming. But like, if they like, that would kind of defeat her purpose of cheering up and of making people see the lighter side of things. I think if they made them enemies, so like, I could see them doing it, but that would have been a massive mistake. I think.
My 2 points here is that I'm so glad that Final Fantasy is going less in that direction, because my biggest gripes with a lot of the older Final Fantasy games, like specifically 9, this is the kind of the reason why I hated 9, is because Zidane was trying to get together with Dagger, right? Almost the entire game, and he was so self-conscious about that, and it just frustrated me so much. I was like, I don't care. And then now with Final Fantasy X, right? I joke around that like Titus and Waka should totally get together because their emotion is so pure, their bond is so pure between them. But every other cutscene is like, oh hey, you like Yuna, right? Like, not really. Like, I don't. Like, so I'm so happy that in Remake that they're friends and there doesn't have to be this triangle. But Karen, I will bring up that despite that, they do give you the flipping option to choose who to like go check on after this, jumping ahead as well. They give you the literal option of like, who do you want to go check on, like Tifa or Aerith? So it kind of brings it back to that. It kind of goes back like full circle, back to the whole conundrum. They don't completely get away with it, you know.
Both of the girls, you know, like have some responses. Like they do have those, but like they're not like, you know, complete dynamic changing moments. They're fun moments, right?
What I like is like if they get like this kind of responses are towards Cloud, they would never get angry to each other, because in the media it's really a classic thing, like 2 female, 1 male, and then the female are fighting each other for the male. And here is just no, they will not have that between them. It's on Cloud.
Exactly.
And then they say like, we're gonna go shopping and Cloud is gonna carry our bags. So so it's just I liked all the relationship between them.
The emotional burden is on the player. That's how it should be too, right? Because it's like you no matter, like, you can pick an Aerith or a Tifa, but like you said, Carrion, like this game made you like Tifa. So like both of these characters are likable. You might like one more than the other, but they're both really likable, and you don't want anything bad to happen to them, right? So it's like, oh, this is great, this is fun and dandy. All right, Cloud, controller guy, which one are you gonna go check on first, punk?
And it matters because obviously you get like a little scene where it could be Aerith, Tifa, or Barret, the real love interest, or the true, or like probably in the second game. I hope what we do in this game is gonna somehow transfer to the second part, and it's gonna matter for the date, the big date in the Gold Saucer. So I think those things will matter for like these little cutscenes. But I just like the relationship between Tifa and Aerith in general. That it didn't happen in the original game. You didn't have that, I would believe. I mean, Tifa cared for Aerith, and you can see her speaking about Aerith, especially after she dies. But I don't think during the trip they talk to each other much. So yeah,
there's slight bit of banter here and there, you know, but it's not like a notable relationship in the first. That's for sure. But they reserved everything for Cloud in the first one, right?
Yeah.
They had the little side stories or whatever that tried to make each of the other characters' relationship to Cloud meaningful. But, you know, just what they're able to do with video games now is crazy. So because of that, they're allowed to like explore these characters a lot more. That's really, and their relationships.
So we are arriving to World Market, and this is where I think I cried when I just arrived to World Market. The music, I was looking around. I was like, what is this place? Like someone in a Square Enix had a grand vision of what this place had to be, and they went all through. Like they went all the way, and then they did this fully realized World Market, and it's just way better than the original. It's this part, like you said, like, this is way, you did it different and you did it the best possible you could. So I was just like, oh my god, I'm so happy I remember being there like 5 minutes just looking around before I walked into the World Market. I was like, yes. Yeah.
I really loved how they didn't make it like, what would I say, child safe. And what I mean by that is like it doesn't mean like they went too gratuitous, but like they put a massage parlor in there. They put like sleazy back alley, like what you go to Vegas for type thing, right? And they're not afraid to put that out there, right? Like Cloud literally gets serviced.
Well, I think like with Wall Market, when I was first playing the original, it was very vertical, if I'm not mistaken. Like the map structure was like you start here, then you go up and you go and you go up. I think with Remake, it really felt like it's spread out a lot. So like I think even exiting, you go all the way to the right to go to that alleyway and so on and so forth. But to me, like Wall Market was cool because, again, from a level design perspective, it was cool to have layers of this alleyway brings you up here to this section. And it also connects to this part of the town. And again, it's like seeing even just like street food, right, exist next to like around the bars, old pharmacy area. I'm assuming for those that are like extremely hungover or whatever, like they all kind of existed.
Drinks, I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's so many funny characters in this like section. Like this section was like an incredibly memorable one when it was fine in the original to me. Like it was cool and it was like nice lights, but not much memorable aspects. And also like talking about this whole section, like this is a section where side quests to me felt really cool, because you were jumping around to different characters doing different things of consequence, rather than other. I think the rest of the game's side quests seem very boring, fetch questy, inconsequential. This one felt really cool and interesting.
I agree with Aerith, and like in the level design, like it was confusing. It was supposed to be confusing when you are in this kind of like markets, you are confused about where am I now. So it felt like that. It took me a while to know where I was, how it was connected. I was so happy being there, and the music. I love to be there because the music is like this kind of super happy music all the time. So yeah, I love it.
I think it's not surprising that I got lost. Yeah, I like didn't know where to go, but yes, I like how most areas are connected. So if you go up some stairs and you get to that cowboy area, which I loved.
Yep.
Ode to Tifa, right? And then you can just go down and you'll end up somewhere. It won't be a dead end where you have to go back and figure out where you're actually supposed to go. You just fumble away and then you can eventually you'll find where you're supposed to go.
Yeah, it's a real world experience kind of thing.
Exactly. And how they fleshed out Chocobo Bill, and then they also introduced Madam M, and made them a sort of like I don't know what you call it, like a syndicate of some sorts. It's not really a syndicate, right? It's like you have to have the three of them with Andrea. I forgot his last name. Andrea.
Rodea.
Okay, Andrea Rodea, and figure out, how can I actually get into Don Corneo instead of just like, oh, let's just wear a pretty dress and go to the tailor and then we can go in.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have like a whole thing where you find someone to represent you so you can get in. I love that bit. I love that they added that. And it wasn't just, as I said, just, let's find a pretty dress and then let's go in. But I also love that they added back the tailor into the game.
But you're nailing it, because all the details in Wall Market there's a lot of odes to the original section. And like even as a person who kind of like breezed through Wall Market and like wasn't a tourist there in the original, like I found a lot of like nice aspects to it. But it goes back to this whole living, breathing world, right? Because you have those three people that basically run Wall Market, right? And the quests that you do around them are based off of them, and it's as if you're stepping into their world, as opposed to when I played the original. I just felt like I was like, oh, the people here don't really matter. Like it's just a section, that's it, right? But I want to give like special shout outs because the Taylor section was one of them. The fact that you could go inside the bar and there's like a little mini stage for either karaoke, right? That was like such a cool, nice addition. And then the gym and the Coliseum are two flipping highlights of this game for me. But yeah, all of it's in Wall Market, right?
Yeah, they left many small details, and then they expanded like many other things that like the Coliseum. I want to talk about Hell House. Hell House was a meme before the game was released, and everyone was saying how are they gonna explain? Because all the monsters are explained in this game more or less. I love that. We haven't said about anything about that, but even the monsters you find in Sector 7 slums can be explained because there is this hidden laboratory below that is new too. So all the monsters are kind of like they have a reason to be, but then people were like, how are you gonna explain Hell House? It's a house.
Yeah.
It's a house that swallow you up and has arms and legs. Somehow it's just like, and then they freaking they didn't explain it 100%, but then they had like, okay, we're not gonna even explain it. We are just gonna make it the final boss of the Coliseum. It's gonna be one of the hardest fights in all. I died more to the Hell House than to Sephiroth. So, and it's gonna be all this voice acting like Tifa, Aerith and Cloud. Also super hyped. It just was fantastic. And then when the Hell House swallows you, it's just like, yes, it's the Hell House. And they took this minor monster that they didn't need to do. They could just say like, oh, we can do this for the remake. No, and
it exists in a stretch this big of the original game, right? In that one map. So ridiculous though.
Even random, you might not even find it.
No way, you
Exactly.
could never fight that enemy in the first one.
Again, that's what it goes back to. The masterful aspect of Remake is more so their ability to adapt it and make it into a modern context. And not just in, I think we talked about a lot of it, like voice acting, graphics, and world building and all that kind of stuff. But again, this one to me, it's like, what the hell? Like, how did they flipping conceptualize this? Because it makes total sense. And this is kind of like the shining moments of Remake for me. It's like it's kind of like the epitome for this game, where they take a lot of these like minor, relatively inconsequential moments in the original, but bring it back into this new world in a way that it connects to the lore and makes it so much more realized. So Hell House is just such a flipping delight. Because again, like, how do you adapt something? When you go back and play the original couple Final Fantasies, they're ridiculous, right? It wouldn't work on a modern lens whatsoever, but they're making it so, and that's like beautiful to me.
The game has peaked at World Market. Like, it's not like the rest of the game is bad. The game is just the World Market. If the game finishes at the World Market, I would be like, I'm happy. I have such a amazing experience that I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. So the game for me peaked at World Market, and I hope in the next game the Gold Saucer is gonna be the World Market of this game. Like,
Will be for sure.
the Coliseum is awesome, and we're gonna talk after about the Honeybee. For me, it's the best place of the game. So, yeah.
My gripe was that, like, I wish there was more Coliseum, to be honest with you. Like, that's where I started really. This is the point in the game where I started to really experiment with the combat system, because I think you're supposed to, right? But I just so wish there was so many more levels or quests there specifically, because that's where the combat system really shines through for me in terms of the catalyst to see. It's like, wow, this is a phenomenal system. So that was my biggest thing. It's like, if I wish for DLC, it would just be more Coliseum battles.
Also, I liked the introductions they did. Like, it was like a real Coliseum. People are shouting against Aerith and Cloud. They are having none of it
right now.
They are like, no, ooh, they are booing them. And then when you are winning, they get in your side. And then I don't know if you noticed, but they leave presents out, like in the waiting area. You can see like
Flowers
there is
in your room.
yeah, they leave presents, flowers, and then you can see Aerith's name. Like, people love Aerith. But then I think before the last battle, or after you finish Hell House, there is like big, like, also Cloud name there. Like, it's in Japanese too. Like, it's like thank you, or like, yeah, it's just like so small details that are so good. Yeah,
I think the Cloud one is this Cloud fan club.
yeah,
Because I
something
tried
like
to digest the whole thing. I was trying to figure out, like, Aerith. I saw Aerith and I was like, ooh, they wrote that Aerith. And then I saw the bigger one. And I was like, what does this say? And trying to figure out what it was, because the font was a bit weird for me. I'm not used to reading. And then when I figured out, is this Cloud fan club? Like, oh my god, I want to be in it.
And then we moved to the Honeybee. I was so scared about the Honeybee.
Me too.
I was so scared. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, this is perfection. Like, I don't want to throw shit on the original game, but it's pretty transphobic and homophobic, the whole section.
From a different time, right?
I replayed Final Fantasy VII, like the original, like 3 months ago, and I laugh at that section still nowadays, but it makes me really uncomfortable as well. So I'm not saying like if you enjoy that section you are homophobic or anything like that. I say like this game is like 25 years ago game, and that was a different time, and that shouldn't be published nowadays. It was pretty homophobic and transphobic at the time, like Cloud bathing with these old guys. They were like 40 or 50 and Cloud was like 19 or 20, and they were making fun of how young he was. And then they go into the bath, and Cloud is visibly uncomfortable in the original being there, and then the whole dressing up, it all was very like the comments they do was really bad. So I was really scared when I saw what they did, like the whole dancing scene, the whole humanizing also Cloud coming, like Cloud doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be dressed as a woman, but he's realizing like, okay, it's fine, I'm gonna do this to rescue Tifa, and it's okay. And I like when he meets Tifa at the end, he says Tifa is like, Cloud? And then Cloud's answer like, yeah, I know, I nailed it, moving on. Like he's like I love like Cloud is this like probably this straight guy who doesn't want to go through this, and at the end he's like, okay, I'm good at this, and it's fine, let's just move on. And I'm gonna read like what Andrea Rodea says, which is perfect sentence for summarizing how well they did this part of the game. He said like, true beauty is an expression of the heart, a thing without shame, to which notions of gender don't apply. Don't even be afraid, Cloud. I think I was just, when he says that, I was like, I have to cry now, because there is no Japanese game, and not AAA game, there is no Japanese game where trans gay people have been represented in this way ever. And for a Final Fantasy, like my favorite game of all time, to do this to me, I was like, how did you do this so well? Like, it's just, I'm so proud of the team who did this. Like, it's just perfection.
It's not only that they don't represent, you know, LGBTQ people in that way, it's that they don't represent LGBTQ people at all, right? And when they do, it's usually at the butt end of jokes, at least in the 90s, and they tend to sort of ignore it in the last 15 years, right? Don't even want to touch that. And I thought, like, man, there's like one of two ways that they could do this, right? They can either cut it all out because they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, or they could go full social justice warrior and just like try to rub all the lessons in all of our, and they did neither of them. Right? They just showed it as a place that existed, and they, like, Andrea talks as if somebody who is who is powerful and comfortable with who he is and his power, or who they are. I don't know what their gender is, right? But like, they didn't make it campy. They didn't make it corny. They didn't make it some like ridiculous 50-year-old Karen wagging the finger like, no, this is how you treat gay people. Like, not like that. It just felt really natural, and it was almost like I thought like a really good nod to it. It's like, it's almost that the thing you were talking about where Cloud says like, yeah, I know, nailed it, move on. Like, out of nowhere, also, Cloud just, like, has these, like, sick dance moves.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
That's the thing, is, like, Cloud, like, has this, like, secret side, like, yeah, he gets his jam on. He's just, you know, I'm busy on a mission right now. Fine.
And even in previous chapters, he said, I don't dance. I think he said that to Barrett. And then here he is.
Turns out you do.
I just said I love this so much because I think a lot of the general populace was very nervous going into this, especially knowing what happened in the past, right? But I mean, Crane, you don't even have to go back to like 15, 20 years. Like Persona 5 had this issue, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like a lot of games that are even now in the modern context, like especially Japanese games that you mentioned, August, like have a lot of these issues with representation. But yeah, the fact that Square was able to do this and in this way, like I definitely got a little bit of chills, because it was like, again, it epitomizes what Remake is. It's modernizing and contextualizing a lot of these things for a game that is so dated in so many ways, right? Whether it be like aspect of representation, or whether it be the battle system, or whether that be like storytelling, right? So again, this is just another nod to how masterfully Square treated this property. And I was just so incredibly impressed and so happy. Like genuinely, like
thank the
They
flipping
really-
lord that they got this. I don't want to say like
knocked it out of the park.
Like moving forward, like this will allow more companies to actually do something like this in this, very good way.
It allows them to not be afraid, because I feel like that's
Yes.
probably the biggest barrier. Look, most of these companies are just companies that want to make money. If you could convince them that doing this would make them more money than if they didn't do it, they would do that immediately, right? So I think this is a good hurdle to show them that, hey, we're a really successful company that has a market in the West or wherever, right, where they do care about these things. And we made a game where we totally represented them, but we also didn't make it like a big... We didn't highlight it. It's not an awkward representation, you know what One of the things that really struck me was the music in Honeybee Inn. That's like totally reminiscent of like the British, like the 80s, 70s, like disco gay British dance scene. You know, it's almost... I don't know how to describe the kind of music. It's like discordant electro dance music. I thought that's such a good call to tradition, almost appeal to tradition, like it's like, no, this is what we do here. I thought that was so rad. They nailed it.
And Aerith was living. Aerith was me. I was like, yes, Cloud, go. And I love, like, if you fail, she's like nervous. Like, oh, what a train wreck. But if you do it well, she's like, yes, go, Cloud. I just love it. And also, like, I think in the gym, people in the gym are like kind of gender fluid or something, because I think they also they comment some things on that too. So I just like how the whole world market is they know the honeybee is there, they know what it is, and moving on, there is no problem with this.
The only other thing to mention for me, it's like the strength. I think one of you brought up the confidence of a lot of these characters. So I think that like I said, the three people who like run Wall Market, other than Don Corleone, right, is they're all so different, but they each work so well in this world. And for me, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm walking in as Cloud, and I'm experiencing this world not as a purpose for Cloud to do what Cloud needs to do. It's more so this world is going to do something to Cloud instead, and you have to walk around all these different personalities of people. And everybody was so confident and so sure of their characters and their belonging in this world. It just felt so like a great gameplay moment and a world building moment. And it was like such a highlight to remind you that there's a shit ton that happens in Midgar. It's not just, it's a huge flipping city, and it's like this is one of those moments where it's like, different places can exist, and it's a great reminder.
So we go into Don Corneo house after this. We are dressed up very beautiful. Actually, I didn't like at all Cloud's dress. The one I got, I think he has two that are okay, but the one I got was a little bit ugly. But anyway. Did you talk to Chadley when you were wearing the dress?
No.
You have
saw the thing after. Yeah.
Okay, now that's something else I have to do.
You do that. Did you, Karian?
Yeah, but only because someone mentioned it in chat, because when I was streaming, I didn't know that you could talk to him, and it was so funny. Oh my god.
It's really awkward, yeah. You should do it, Cranberry. Yeah. We go into Don Corneo's house. We find Tifa there. And then we confront Don Corneo. And then we fall into the sewers. So what about that part? I was looking forward to meeting Don Corneo. I will let you say what you want about him. I will go after.
I love how he was played in Japanese. In English, though, it was a bit offsetting for me, but maybe because I played the Japanese first. Japanese was like on point, on brand. I loved it so much, especially with the laugh. But in English, I don't know, it felt a bit awkward. But maybe that's me. But I do also love the part where they bring back the original, where I forgot where they sit, but they were like standing in front of his bed and taunting him, saying that they'll rip it off, they'll shred it off, or something like that. I love that scene. That played masterfully well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My experience in this section is there's two things I want to bring up. Is as I talk about the
characters that are so sure of themselves, such great characters. Like Don Corleone is such a like the opposite of that. It felt very campy, very tropey, and it's fine. It's fine to have it in the game, but it's such a such a difference with all the characters that we met in the past, right? In the same section. And the second thing is like, do you guys remember the person that's a new character that kind of helps you out in this section as well? Leslie,
yeah, Leslie.
Like again, not a character in the original, if I'm not mistaken,
No.
right? But the thing before we get into like maybe that in the future, it's so apparent to see what Tetsuya Nomura is into when he designs characters, because you could totally see how this person dresses almost exactly like all the characters' outfits in Kingdom Hearts 3, and so it's just like, oh, I see. This is like Nomura all. It's got Nomura all over it, and it was just so funny to see. Like, I know there's no way to separate his design style from the times that he's designing them, and it's just really funny to experience.
I liked Don Corneo because he was such a cartoon, right? Like, even at the end, right when you get to the end, right? Like, he asks you the question, why do the bad guys always reveal their plan, right? And then you say, well, because you know you're gonna win, right? And then he pulls the lever, and it's like straight out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. The floor goes away, and then they fall, right? It's like, woo! Like, I just thought the whole scene is so cartoonish, so over the top, so this guy is so repulsive. But like, he's got to be a jester, right? He's got to be a joker in some way or another. I can't wait to run into him again in Wutai.
But anyway, guys, like, thank you so much for joining. I had a blast talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, and hopefully we can talk again to finish the second part of the game.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. The second part is really where like a lot of the meat is for me, where I want to just like bounce ideas off. But this is a good reminder and a good primer, right, for all of those.
But before we finish this, can you plug yourself? So, Aerith, where can people find you?
You can find me in August's chat, because I love him so. And go follow on. Twitch.tv/rfjohan. Twitter is usually where I just post shenanigans, videos, and or hot takes. That's it.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Carrion, where I play Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Yes.
Nothing much.
among others.
Well, twitch.tv/cranberry pudding, and I have all my stuff down there. If you go to that place first, just go there. It's a magical world.
Magic. And you can find me same Twitch AguskunJP. But I'm gonna leave everyone's information in the description, so you can just go there, click, follow all of us. We are lovely people. You're gonna have a blast. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
Till next time.
Yeah, till next time. Bye.